streaming live across the country, tackling the topics everyone is talking about online. Share, engage, and interact. This is Newsfeed Now.
Good Monday morning, everyone. Welcome to Newsfeed Now. I'm Hillary Hunt. I'm here to start your week off on a good note because I know Mondays are tough, but we're going to make it better. We've got a jam-packed show for you. We're going to talk about all the top trending stories, including the latest on the COVID-19 vaccine, that relief bill, how the virus has impacted the NBA, as well as a man's recovery that a lot of people are calling a total miracle. It's a story you're going to want to stick around to hear. But first, we're going to start with a day of remembrance. Today marks the 79th anniversary of the attack on Pearl Harbor. An annual commemoration ceremony will be held at the historic site this morning to honor those killed in that attack. The ceremony is closed to the public because of COVID-19, but a small group of veterans will still be there. There's also going to be a moment of silence at the time that attack happened back in 1941. That ceremony will be streamed online. Now to our continuing coverage of the ongoing coronavirus pandemic. There's been so much buzz and excitement over the promise of this COVID-19 vaccine from all different companies, Pfizer, Moderna, AstraZeneca, but you don't hear a lot of folks saying, hey, I want to jump in line, I want to get it. But the question now remains, can it be forced by employers? What about businesses? What about venues? Here's what Marky Martin found.
Americans are on the brink of the first COVID vaccine getting the green light. On December 10th, the FDA will review Pfizer's vaccine for emergency use. A week after that, it's Moderna's turn. Both the CDC and doctors across the country recommending the double-dose shot as your best chance of protection and society getting back to normal.
But it's going to be a combination of rolling vaccine out quickly and effectively, which I'm confident we have good plans to do, seeing good uptake of the vaccine, which I think is a bigger question.
The latter part of that plan, the good uptake, has some people like Chelsea Perez saying not so fast.
This virus is barely a year old. The fact that we already have a vaccine is exciting, but also terrifying.
She works in Oklahoma City, and she worries about the unknowns of such a novel virus and whether employers could force their employees to get vaccinated.
I think we could highly recommend particular groups of people do get it, but until we know the true effects of it, I don't know that it's the best idea to force anybody to get one.
But will it be legal for your employer to require vaccination? University of California law professor Dorit Rice, who's been speaking on legal issues surrounding vaccines since 2013, says the short answer is yes.
Employment in the United States is usually at will. Your employer can fire you pretty much for any reason. They don't like your shirt, they can fire you.
Rice says employers in the United States have broad leeway to impose workplace rules. Two major exceptions, however, come into play. Americans can refuse vaccines due to disability or religious reasons. Both are protected by law. Rice also says outside of those exceptions, business owners will be legally allowed to deny service or employment to anyone who is not COVID vaccinated.
You have rights that include not allowing people you don't want onto your premises and not serving people you don't want. And your rights are as protected by our Constitution as the rights of others.
On Wednesday, the Department of Defense releasing the first images of what the COVID-19 vaccination record card will look like. A proof of vaccination Americans will be issued to keep in their wallets as part of Operation Warp Speed. Rice says it will be legal for bosses, businesses, or venues to ask for it, but it won't be practical.
Do they have to bring a vaccine paper? What if they forgot the paper at home? Are you going to take their word on that? If so, how do you prevent people from lying?
Martin now from Dallas. And Marky, this is something a lot of people don't think about because, you know, you have the flu vaccine where some people require that. Now, this is just another one that could be required. What do you think your biggest takeaway was when you were speaking with all those people on this topic?
Hey, Hillary, yeah, it is a fascinating topic. And while I think there are a lot of people who don't necessarily want to come straight out of the gate to get this vaccine, I think there are a lot of people who also haven't had the thought of what if my employer requires it of me. And there's so much information about the vaccines themselves, right? Who's making them, when they're rolling out, when you and I would have access to one. But the other side of the coin, I think, is disproportionately examined. There's so much to be praised here, and that doesn't negate that, what the researchers are doing, what the scientists are doing, that we're able to respond to such a novel virus in such a way. But you also have to put a spotlight on the stories that show that there is another side of the story. And for some, there's a lot of hesitancy in accepting such an expedited vaccine. And so I think my conversation with Professor Rice and even Chelsea, who you heard from in my story there, was enlightening because for me, it was really one of the first times I had had a conversation with someone who wasn't willing to come forward right out of the gate and get it. And yes, the short answer is yes, your employer could require this of you.
You know, and it's not just employers you spoke of. You talked about businesses, you talked about venues, but, you know, a real sticking point sometimes comes with the schools. You know, there are two sides when it comes to vaccination. So what about schools? This could be a requirement for students.
Yeah, Professor Rice, you're exactly right, Hillary. Professor Rice said this transcends outside of the workplace. So in terms of businesses and venues, you know, your favorite, say, neighborhood coffee shop or somebody who owns a huge concert venue could require this. They could want everybody walking into their doors to be COVID vaccinated. They could ask for that vaccination card moving forward. But again, the practicality part of the equation, probably not going to happen. And unless you fall under one of those two categories that we mentioned, disabilities or religious reasons, it could very much be asked of you. As far as schools go, and that part of your question, Professor Rice says it's just too early to decide what schools will be asking for moving forward, simply because there has not been a clinical trial done within children yet. And the last thing to mention here that I think is worth noting, she says there's a lot of legal gray area, right? There's a lot of legal uncertainty surrounding whether or not we could even see COVID mandates, vaccine mandates, while a vaccine is just in emergency use authorization, whether it be from Pfizer, Moderna, AstraZeneca, that has yet to be decided.
Well, the vaccine topic, something, of course, we'll continue to monitor when it comes to COVID-19. Marky Martin out of Dallas for us. Marky, thanks so much for your time this morning. And speaking of that, COVID-19 vaccines are on the way, but with that comes scams. Security experts are warning Americans to be on guard and avoid offers that sound just too good to be true. It turns out there's actually a lot of them. Tom Nagovin has more.
You have the chance to avoid anticipated long lines and get a single dose of the Pfizer COVID vaccine sent to your home for a one-time payment of $79.99.
That is one of the new ones, a vaccine scam robocall. If you're wondering who'd be fooled by that, it happens a lot.
Hello?
And if you can't believe someone would stoop so low trying to scam the unsuspecting during a deadly pandemic, well,
whatever criminals can do to hit that nerve that forces you to do something, they'll do it.
Security experts see it all the time, especially around the holidays. But this year, with coronavirus vaccines in the pipeline, it's like a double Christmas for cyber thieves.
Fraudulent COVID-19 products can come in many varieties.
The Food and Drug Administration's released a video about it. The Federal Trade Commission says overall, complaints about scams on social media have more than tripled this year. Warning letters to companies making unproven COVID claims have been going out since March. And the Better Business Bureau says if you get any kind of offer, do your research, check with your doctor, and ignore any claim that demands you take immediate action. The feds say with a real treatment on the horizon, frauds are spreading almost as quickly as the virus itself.
We're working very closely with the pharmaceutical companies to ensure and protect that supply chain and to ensure the American public are safe.
Now to the latest on the pandemic's impact on sports. A big one here. The American Academy of Pediatrics is now encouraging kids and teens to wear cloth face coverings during sports practices and even their games. The agency says those face coverings have been shown to decrease the transmission of COVID-19 and are, quote, well tolerated by the majority of people who wear them for exercise. Doctors say masks especially are very important during those indoor sports. You know, you're all in one room. However, masks should not be worn during cheerleading or gymnastics competitions because it may impair some vision. Now let's talk about a sport everyone's watching right now. NBA preseason begins this Friday. I'm excited. My man Steve behind the camera's pumped too. And unlike earlier this year, those games not going to be in a bubble in my home state of Florida. They're going to play for real. We're going to bring in Pat, who joins us from Chicago. And Pat, there are things put in place right now. They've already tested a number of these players, almost all of them, in order to get ready for preseason.
Yeah, and I mean, you're already having some positive tests, not a ton, but you're having a few. and they haven't even started traveling yet. And that's going to be the big difference between now and between when obviously they played last season and they were in a bubble and nobody can go anywhere and it was a controlled environment. You know, now they're trying to do a 72-game season with extensive traveling, with, you know, weekly travel, at times probably multiple times a week travel. And that's where the problems are going to come in. That's going to be the big difference. They are still doing testing every day, but a lot more trust is going to be put into the players this year. And, you know, they're already talking behind the scenes of, you know, they know it's going to be messy. They know that guys are going to get COVID. They know that teams are going to have outbreaks like you've seen in the NFL, where sometimes teams go weeks without traveling. But they are pretty determined to see this through no matter what.
Yeah, and Pat, the question is here, you know, I may or may not have a few inside sources in the NFL where they were being told they would be fined thousands of dollars if they were caught with COVID-19 and they could trace how they got it. So say they were going to a restaurant, not following team rules. Do you think something like that's going to be put in place in the NBA?
Yeah, there was something that leaked. It was a couple of days ago. That was an internal memo about how guys were not permitted to go when they were home. They weren't permitted to go to bars or clubs or indoor restaurants. I think on the road, they can go eat at league-approved restaurants, you know, because guys are on the road, they want to go out. League-approved restaurants that are isolated. And, I mean, you know, we're talking about, you know, rich guys in their 20s are not going to follow all of these rules. I mean, James Harden right now in the Rockets, you know, was just at little baby's birthday party in Atlanta without a mask, and he's already in concussion protocol. So, I mean, there are going to be fines, I'm sure. There are going to be punishments. But, you know, if you're making $25 million a year, I don't know that a $50,000 or $100,000 fine is going to be much of a deterrent.
Little baby's birthday party costing him probably quite a chunk of change.
I guess, yeah.
Well, something we'll definitely continue to watch, and we hope, you know, it doesn't quite play out like the NBA does. Pat, thanks so much, Pat, out of Chicago for us today. Well, let's switch gears to Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer urging Congress to pass a $908 billion compromise COVID relief bill to avoid what he's calling a Christmas cliff. On December 26, special unemployment benefits will expire for more than 13 million Americans. This bill would extend those benefits. Senator Schumer says it would also provide relief for airlines, Amtrak, local government, small businesses, even vaccine distribution. And we got to stick with Capitol Hill. Restaurants are among the businesses most severely impacted by this pandemic. Thousands of restaurants have permanently closed across our country. Washington correspondent Alexandra Limon reports that despite the support for more than 250 bipartisan members of Congress, a piece of legislation to help restaurants is not included in the latest COVID-19 relief proposal. Take a look.
Because of the pandemic, more than 1 in 6 restaurants nationwide shut their doors permanently, and more than 2 million employees lost their jobs, according to the Independent Restaurant Coalition.
It's almost like a mass extinction event.
Carolyn Stein is a Los Angeles-based restaurateur.
Without any sort of aid coming to us, you will see a much larger number of restaurants closed.
Stein is also co-founder of the Independent Restaurant Coalition, which does not support the $900 billion compromise COVID relief bill because it doesn't give direct help to restaurants. And it's likely many restaurants will remain shut down or severely restricted in their operations because of the spike in COVID cases and hospitalizations in the U.S.
And it's impossible really to eat and drink with your mask on. And so that's why restaurants and bars are particularly at higher risk.
Restaurant owners want the Restaurants Act included in the relief bill. It would provide $120 billion in grants for all types of restaurant business expenses.
We've spent $20,000 building fencing on our parking lot to create an outdoor dining experience.
But now even Democratic leaders are considering the compromise package, which does not include the Restaurants Act, but promise help next year.
That is a total game changer. A new president and a vaccine.
In Washington, Alexandra Limon.
We want to bring in Alexandra Limon from our nation's capital today. And Alex, the first question is, we know restaurants, they all got that PPE, they got the loans, they got some money, but Congress may authorize more money for that, but the question is, the Independent Restaurant Coalition, did they address whether these loans actually help? Because they're out a lot of money, these restaurants are.
Address those. They said that the PPP loan program was helpful. It was better than nothing. But remember, that only provided 8 weeks worth of funding. And restaurants are going on more than 8 months now of either closures on and off or really severe restrictions, on how they can operate. So that didn't nearly cover the length of time that we've already dealt with. And it's likely we'll continue to see closures and restrictions for months ahead of us. The other part of that is that the PPP program also only covered their rent, paychecks, and utilities, again, for those 8 weeks. And you heard that restaurant owner I spoke talking about all of the additional expenses they've had, to try to accommodate outdoor dining. In the summer, it was maybe commercial grade tents to try to protect customers from the sun. Now that the weather's getting colder, you're talking about commercial grade heaters to try to heat these large outdoor spaces to really try to entice at least some people to come to their restaurants. And already, even before this pandemic, restaurants have a really narrow profit margin. So it's just been incredibly difficult on them.
And restaurants, all small businesses, an important part of our economy. But now the question is, what are the actual odds that this act is going to be passed by Congress and signed into law?
I think that the odds that the Restaurants Act would be passed this year are very, very slim because the package Congress is considering right now is $900 billion worth of funding, and the Restaurants Act would add another $120 billion in grants for these restaurants. So it's not likely, but we have heard, Democratic congressional leaders kind of say that they think next year it would be likely under a Biden administration, and particularly if Democrats are able to also gain control of the U.S. Senate, depending on what happens in Georgia, then it's much more likely that we would see something like that approved.
Perfect. Alexander Lamone out of Washington, D.C. for us this morning. Thanks so much, Alex. And we want to take a look at a trending story from the South. After returning from Thanksgiving break, one student at a Texas high school says he received in-school suspensions for having his nails painted. Dan Booth sat down with the student to learn more about this complicated situation.
Started to take off my backpack and my teacher goes, "Trevor, can you come with me?"
Under the current Clyde High School dress code, boys are not allowed to paint their nails. Clyde senior Trevor Wilkinson says he thinks this policy is sexist and can be offensive to people with different sexual orientations.
Ever since I came out, I have been having more issues at Clyde than what I normally would. So I really wasn't surprised that this was a thing. Clyde is very traditional.
According to Wilkinson, he had a meeting with his principal and vice principal to discuss the situation, and they gave him 3 options.
One was to go on remote until January when everyone else came back. The second was to go home and take it off and enjoy class regularly, or stay in ISS and keep my nails on. And that's exactly what I did and I'm going to do.
The Abilene Pride Alliance is urging the Clyde School Board to change this policy because they say policies like this have been seen as discriminatory on the federal level.
The current school board and the current administration, they're not responsible for those policies that came about before they were probably even born. What they are responsible for is their implementation or whether or not they enforce them. They're also responsible now for whether or not they continue.
In an effort to change the policy and bring awareness, Wilkinson started a petition that has thousands of electronic signatures from people who sympathize with his situation.
We're not bound by the opinions of the people that came before us. We shouldn't be. We learn new things every day. It's part of the human experience. It's part of being alive to grow and to change.
It is okay to be who you are, and it is okay to express yourself, and it is okay to be you, and you should be you. You should never feel afraid to be yourself. You should never be afraid of what people are going to think, because at the end of the day, the only opinion that matters is yourself.
The Clyde Consolidated Independent School District put out a statement addressing the situation, saying they go through a thorough review of the dress code each year, and all parents and students are provided a copy of the dress code before each school year begins.
And we want to bring in Joni McKinnon. She's joining us now from Abilene, Texas. And, Joni, what's the reaction like now? How quickly is that petition growing? Because Dan said in the package, it already had thousands of signatures and we're a few days out from it.
It did, Hillary. At the time, it had 11,000. As of this morning, looking at that number, it's over 70,000 people signing that petition. So it's grown exponentially in less than a week. It's just huge response. And Clyde, ISD is a small town, just a suburb of Abilene, Texas, and that school district has a total of around 425 total students. So it's a very small district in a very conservative part of the state.
Yeah, garnering a lot of national attention, and also brought up in the story is, you know, every school has a dress code and they all have the rules, but sometimes people say, oh, they haven't reviewed those rules in years. But what did the school district tell y'all?
The school district actually said that they do an annual review and they would be taking that into consideration later on in the school year. They did not give us a definitive time frame to do that. Of course, Texas Equality, one of the largest groups for LGBTQs, is getting behind this and supporting this, along with a lot of other groups. And as a copy of the actual school dress code, I don't want to call it antiquated, but it certainly dates back a while. I mean, it's things like girls can only have their ears pierced and small piercings, no gauge is allowed, and so on and so forth. Boys can't have any kind of ear piercing. Hair has to be off the collar, kind of thing. I mean, so certainly some rather lengthy list of restrictions and parameters for these students to dress by.
Well, a big push for change there, something we'll be watching to see if change does happen. Joni McKinnon out of Abilene, Texas for us. Thanks so much, Joni.
Thank you.
And we want to move on to the Midwest, where a woman says a miracle is the only explanation for why her son is still alive. Benedict Hardovic experienced sudden cardiac arrest while he was sleeping on September 22nd. Serafina Jackson has the story for us.
There just really is no medical or no human explanation, except that it is a total miracle.
And Beth Harvatic says that's the only explanation why she's sitting at a table with her son Benedict, who right now only has one thing on his mind.
Excited to get some good pizza.
72 days ago, pizza was the last thing she or anyone else close to the family could think about. And the day Benedict's life would change. September 22nd, the 21-year-old suffering from sudden and at the time unexplained cardiac arrest. His brain severely damaged from lack of oxygen, ending up in a coma for 10 days and at his family's lowest life support.
They explained to me in words using catastrophic brain damage. They told us that they would expect no meaningful recovery.
After 8 days of no changes or improvement, his mother says the family decided to honor something Ben had expressed in the past. A difficult decision, but on October 1st, they pulled the plug.
It was horrific. It's indescribable. Heartbreaking, yet you want to be hopeful. Devastating. There just really are not words.
But what happened next, even doctors can't explain. He began breathing on his own, and within 3 days, his eyes were open, and he was responding with his fingers. He began to improve rapidly at a pace that left his doctors at KU baffled, later transferring to a rehab in Omaha.
It was a lot to take in, but I could feel my body, and I knew I was safe, and I had my family around.
Today, he's not all the way back to normal, but he's getting close, leaving rehab early and only with a walker when he was told he would need a wheelchair. During his first day home, his first stop, Chuizano's Brick Oven Pizzeria, and the Legends outlet where he worked part-time. His family using this living testimony to prove miracles do still happen.
It's good to be home in time for Christmas.
All you can say about that one is miraculous. Happy that he is doing better and on the mend. But before we go, we got to talk about a sports blooper this morning, one that comes from the Virginia Tech Clemson game. The Hokies may have found the way to stop top winning team Clemson and that high scoring offense. Check those out late in the first quarter. Those field sprinklers went off. I think it was their distraction. They did this on purpose. I'm kidding. The Hokies defense obviously, made light out of the situation. They hyped up the team. But guys, it's like that hype didn't work. The Tigers bringing out the claws, a big win, 45-10 over the Hokies. No surprise there. I mean, they're pretty good. They got Dabo. And that's all the time we have for Newsfeed Now. Thanks for joining us. We're going to be back here tomorrow, same place, same time. I hope you join us. We're going to have some great trending stories. Have a great Monday. It'll be a good one, I promise.